Hello Year 7, I hope you're all safe and well and looking after yourselves at this time. Just as part of your remote learning, I'm going to start uploading some weekly videos that give you some feedback on the work that you completed the previous week. Alright, it's just so we can see what you did well, what things you might need to revisit, okay, because I am aware that you are working independently at home. Alright, so it's just a chance for me to be able to say, hey, this is something we might need to look at, or this is what you did really, really well. And as I said, this feedback applies to the work that you completed last week. So the work that you completed between the 5th and the 8th of January, okay? So, what lessons were there? What work did you do last week? Except for the reading lesson that you completed, all your lessons focused on the topic of what is poetry. Lesson 1 asked you to write your own poem about a bird. Lesson 2 asked you to explore a poem by William Wordsworth. And lesson 3 focused on the form of that poem by William Wordsworth. Okay, so 3 lessons that you completed last week. What did you guys do really well? The work that was completed was mostly completed fully. You really gave every task that you had to go at a really good go, all right? And you really tried to make the most out of each task, so well done for that. You were evaluative and successful in your discussions of the poetry. There was one point where you were asked to evaluate what William Wordsworth had done, and you did that really, really well. And I especially liked some of your drawings of the scene that the poem described. In one of the lessons, you were asked to draw a picture based on the poem itself. And I really enjoyed some of the pictures that you sent in. This is one of my favourite ones. I have put it on the screen. I won't say whose it is, but I did very much enjoy this picture. And as you can see, just from the description that is said within the poem, you know, you're able to come up with this image. And this is something that's really important about poetry. It's the way that language is used allows the reader or the listener to picture this image in their mind, as has been very clearly shown here through following what happens in the poem. This picture has been created from that, and it just kind of shows you how powerful poetry can be in people's imagination and aiding them to think about certain things, all right? So well done on all of those aspects. There are a couple of things though that I would just look at, just to improve our work a little bit further. Again, this is just an opportunity just for me to point out any areas that we've almost got quite right. We just need to tweak it a little bit to make sure our understanding is 100% correct, and things like that. So, what can we look at to improve our work? One thing I would like us to look at is ensuring that you complete all of the tasks if you can. All right, I am aware that we do ask you to work for about an hour per lesson, and you might not get through all of the content there, and that's fine. But I am aware that with a lot of the lessons, there are a few different tasks, and there are some people who aren't perhaps finishing all of those tasks or ensuring that they complete as much of the work as they can. So, as an example, this is one of the lessons that you were asked to do. I think this was lesson 3 that you did this week. All right, I'm just going to quickly go through it just to see what tasks there were involved, all right, and just so that you're aware of kind of how the lesson flows, because the reason that we include certain tasks within a lesson is for you to kind of show and review your understanding of things, okay? The tasks allow you to check whether or not you've managed to learn what the lesson is focusing on successfully. So this lesson was focusing on what is poetry, big question being what can we say about the form of the poem. As you move through the lesson, you had the retrieval task, which you all did really well. You were introduced to some new literary terms. Moving down, you then talked about the form of the poem, all right, and the rhyme scheme going on there. And you were then also did an independent task about the rhyme scheme, all right, and then moving on to a task about syllables. Moving on there, okay, and then you were carried on with that task just there. And a lot of you were really good at getting through to this bit. However, there was also a task at the end here, which just sort of for fun, have a go at rewriting your bird poem in iambic tetrameter, right, with an ABCC rhyme scheme. And obviously one thing you're asked to do here is to please send your poems over to the teachers. And I've decided to point this out just because, again, although you've all sent in work, or the majority of you have been sending work in, you haven't always completed all the tasks on them. So if it's a case of time, that's absolutely fine. But I do just want us to be aware that when we have tasks like this, please send your poems over to your teachers. If you have completed that task, because some of you might have completed work on more than one piece of paper, and have maybe sent a picture of the first piece, if this is a task that you have completed, and if there is an instruction like that says please send your poems over to your teachers, it would be really, really good if you were able to send them in, just because then I can have a look, because you editing that poem like that would allow me to see whether you've been able to, use iambic tetrameter or use the rhyme scheme successfully. So that would be really, really good. I think there was another lesson as well. Oh no, this was for something else. So, going back to the PowerPoint then, there was just one other thing that I wanted us to focus just for our future lessons, okay? So, We've talked about that. Next slide. The other thing I wanted us to look at was expanding on our ideas, okay? So, for example, there was one question in one of the lessons that asked, what does he suggest nature can do for human beings? And he being William Wordsworth. All right, what does Wordsworth suggest nature can do for human beings? One answer that was quite common amongst the work that was sent in was, the reader is left to feel happy, or the reader is made to feel happy. And you're not wrong in answering that, but one thing I think we can do just to make our answers that bit more succinct is to expand on them. Okay, so but there you've got the statement, the reader is left to feel happy, and again, you're not wrong, but we could really build on that to try and prove our point. And I think a really useful word to use that I've put in bold there is the word because. The reader is left to feel happy because. All right, that really allows you to expand on your points, and this is something I would like us to look at doing in our future writing. If you're asked a question like this, okay, do consider including the word because in your sentence, because including the word because really prompts you, all right, and it allows you to expand on what you are saying. Like an example I've got here, you know, the reader is left to feel kind of happy because of the way the poet describes his joy in his poem is really effective. Because the way the poet describes his joy in the poem is really effective, okay? So you're providing a bit of evidence, you're providing a bit of backup, you're saying, you know, this is true because. All right, and so that's a really useful technique when you're writing about anything in English, when you're evaluating things, is to include that word because and see what else you can find. All right, that's it for me from this week with our feedback lesson. Once again, well done for all the work you've been completing. The work that has been sent in has been really impressive. Okay, as I just said there, please do, if you do have the time during the time that you spend on English, do try and complete as many of the tasks as you can. And if something does ask you to send the work in to me, please try and do so either by uploading it to Streamer Homework or via email. It's up to you. Okay, but otherwise I've really enjoyed looking at the work you've been sending in. Keep it up, all right? Keep doing the excellent work you've been doing, and most importantly, stay safe, look after yourselves, and I'll be doing another one of these videos next week. All right, bye.